Hello, good evening. I'm feeling the opposite of wonderful. I've been sick. I am playing a game right now. Not a high supervision game, though. That should be enough. Oh, need more dragons. Yes. There we go. That should keep us going for now. Actually, I won't close that. I'm just going to leave that open. Little people can walk around, do their thing. And I need a browser open. So, bear with me 1 second. Yes, I did have 10 minutes to prep stuff. No, I didn't prep very much because I was busy prepping this cup of tea. Hopefully, that will be sufficient for my throat to hold out for the stream. But I think I'll jingle some keys and just run the stream for about an hour rather than the usual length, pretty much because I'm sick and tired, literally. Had a public holiday yesterday, so I didn't have to go to work, and I ended up basically just spending that time sleeping or otherwise resting because I was sick, and I'm about half better now, so that'll have to do. I'll put that over there, and hopefully that is... I keep using hopefully technically wrong, but also the way that everyone uses it, so technically wrong if you're pedantic, or if you just enjoy learning stuff about how grammar works. The word hopefully is not meant to be used in general the way that it is typically used. No, that's not where I want to go. I want to go up a few levels on that. If I get this thing right, there it is. That window should show up. Fantastic. So now we've got where I was up to. And I was fixing that turn. And I thought that was about working. What happened there? I think I'm rotating by a specific amount rather than to a specific direction. That's interesting. Work in progress. Coroutine. I wonder if I think I might have actually got that working after stream. So let's jump over to there. To development here. And let's just get this running. That should get running there. So this is about the bot movement. Previously, the movement was controlled from the bot, from the in the robot script, which is at the top level of the bots. But the change I made changed it to be based on. Why don't I move this over here? Actually, it'll be visible until I get the code window open. Although I don't know if anyone can read that. So here we are. This poor boop just malfunctioning away, trying to fire these lasers that aren't actually wired up properly. If only they were plugged in. Yes, so I was testing the turning, and the turning seems to be working quite well, and the movement. I don't remember whether that's still doing the right thing, but it looks like that is taking the appropriate amount of time to do those movements. So that's fantastic. I will just check the script for that. And I might be able to close off that item. Where are we? We want our scripts. It'll be in the RoboParts script. I think we've got the legs script right there. So basically the robot was using its animator to delay by the right amount of time. But now it should just be able to not do any of that. Now this looks a lot like the animator still has walk forward, turn left, and turn right. But here we go. We've got a move routine. can move with an offset. Yeah, so I think I kind of finished the stream and then kind of just couldn't stop myself from continuing it a little bit. So the turn left routine was the one that I had, that I'd been working on. And I've actually got an angle being passed in there. And I think I need to rename this from turn left routine. Let me get the magnifier up too, so that you can actually see that if you're not viewing it on a 4K monitor. And also I better get this tea bag out of here. It's a decaf tea because I just need to go to sleep after this. Oh, speaking of which, I should really get a timer going. No. And this needs, what's the time? That button pressing. There we go. All right. Yeah, I think I'm using this turn left routine for both turn left and turn right. So it really should just be called turn routine. There we go. So we're just passing in the transform of the bot and the angle that we want to rotate by, which means that that is already doing what that to-do says. So yeah, I think I got it working, and then walked away. And so yeah, move is basically doing the same thing, but instead of that thing being basically interpolating an angle using lerp. So here we're using mathf.lerp angle to get, well, there are two things happening. So we've got a easing curve. So that's basically converting like a 0 seconds to 1 second's time into more of a curve. So the turn can accelerate and decelerate rather than just with using a standard easing function, rather than just start rotating at maximum rotation speed, and then suddenly stop. Even though it is a robot, I think using a curve is good, and I can swap that curve out potentially at some point and make it more of like a robot-y kind of thing with the little jiggle at the end that people who are doing a robot dance will do. Oh, hey! Bunta Party Bus. I am doing well. Well, no, wait, that's a lie. I'm sick. But I'm still able to write code, so that's good. And do you know my real name? Because I'm not very good at not showing it. Or are you somebody who I know in real life? Not sure. But am I? How long did I take to notice that as well? 5 minutes. That's terrible. I've got a little thing. I think I will. I'm about half to 2/3 better since yesterday, so as long as I get some sleep, should be good. Yes, I've got a thing that's supposed to make some noise and do a thing which turns this side of my face red, basically, because it fills the screen there, when there are messages in here. But it doesn't work very well. It's really unreliable. Written in the description, is it? Ah, there we go. Oh yeah, true. That's right. I always introduce myself with my first name. There we go. So maybe I'm more sick than I thought. Brain not working so well. Anyway, I shouldn't go through this in too much detail. I'll probably get rid of that log here. Just comment it out. That's also like turning, finish turning, but I'll leave these here, but I'll comment them out. For now, I haven't instrumented anything that will allow me to just turn debugging on and off. Now, why unnecessary assignment to current angle? Is that right? Yeah, I guess so. Actually, it's just going to get assigned here before we ever use it. So that's fine. Get rid of that. Except we don't want to get rid of it completely. We just don't need to assign it. We can just declare it. Can we? Yeah, we need a type for that. Well, we're doing an angle, but this is going to be a floating point number. There we go. You happy? I probably could have just done auto fix and it would have done that for me. This is now called turn routine. I'm just cleaning this code up a little bit so I can sort of move on from this. And using that. Oh yeah, so you multiply quaternions to get to add them together, to add together the angle that they're rotating by. So yeah, this basically just per frame will do a bit of the rotation based on how far through the curve we are, which is based on how far through the elapsed time we are. And that elapsed time is just done by adding delta time, so however long that it has been since the last frame, clamping that between 0 and the duration. So basically just if it goes slightly over 1, we'll just have it at 1, so it'll be at the correct place at the end of that rotation. And also we've just got this moving that just allows the part, the leg part in this case, to yeah, that'll be for different legs. That's definitely a to do. And I did pass in the angle, so that's good. Yeah, looks looking pretty good. More chats here. Let me read these. True. Yeah. When I'm old and senile, if I have dementia, I can just like go back, watch all my recordings. I'll be over. I might not realize it's me, but who knows? Concept of this game. Yeah, well, you could try out the latest deploy of it, which isn't too far off what I've got here. Links in the description, but it's just fertilepixel.h.io, and you'll find command bots game there. But basically, I'll just start that running there. And I should kind of fix this up now that I've got that movement working. Just imagine all of the factories being in the right spot. But I can demo it with this. Essentially, you've got your enemy factories over there and your factories here, and your factories are producing robots. So they have a blueprint. This one's producing bots with standard legs and no other things. Let's give it the budget legs, which is just a wheel. All of the art is temporary, by the way. Let's give it a bit of a loadout here. So it's got a laser and a shield. So now that's what's going to be produced here. So there it goes, and it's malfunctioning there because it's trying to turn left and right, but these budget legs don't support that. But that one's programmed now. I can't do anything to change the program. It's just going to keep running through it. So basically, you've got to program them in the factory. So let me just get it to like maybe fire its laser a few times, and then do a long block. Hopefully, that won't make them run into each other. So it's going pew pew pew, block, and move on. And there are supposed to be enemies, so let me get some enemies here. I'll grab my enemy factories, get that first, actually get the whole lot of them, and move them. Oops, not that. There we go. So now we should have some enemies coming along. So, but you're trying to destroy all of the enemy factories before they destroy you. And right now they kind of do random things, and you hope it works. And that's just a little bit more interesting than them all just doing default same things that were always the same. So yeah, that looks like we've got a pretty good fighting force going along here. That's the basic concept. The factories on this side might change. It could just be waves of enemies from wherever. You know, it could be a forest with forest creatures coming out, and you're trying to defend the robot kingdom against the pesky natural world or whatever. I haven't really got that far yet. The next thing I'm going to work on, which it shows over here after I've just fixed a couple of bugs that I had, is basically getting the routine, instead of just being this linear set of commands, instead it will, well, you can see on the blueprint, there are these spots here for sensors to go. So you'll be able to add sensors on there and have them respond to things they detect. So they could have a sensor that detects if there's an enemy a certain distance in front of them, and so then they might, if there isn't, they might take a step forward, and if there is, they might fire the laser, for example. So they'll be branching in the routine, so that should be a bit interesting. And I think that's the last major part to prototype. And then I'll have kind of a working prototype that I could polish up and add a bunch more parts and turn into a fully working game. So that's the concept. It's probably a lot more long-winded than it could be. I could probably try and make a couple of sentences summary. Space Rangers, hey? Let me Google that. I've got this. I'm going to look at images and hope that there's nothing. That looks awesome. We got a picture of CNC here for some reason, and whatever we've got here. I don't know which one of these is relevant here. Oh, there's another Space Rangers. Interesting. I'm getting like 90s vibes, which is awesome. These people look familiar, some of them. Sweet. All right, let me stop that, and while I remember, I'm going to pop everything where it should be. So let's see, friendly factories is it the whole lot that I forget how I adjusted this. Jump over to scene view, and I'll just see where this object is positioned. That there, we've got these guys here, but where is the parent? It's at -1, and these are at -3. That's at x equals 0. Wait, is this at x equals 0? That's at x equals 11. Okay. I think I'm going to put all of these at x equals 0. And then move this to -1. I don't know if I have enough tea to last a whole hour, but we'll see. Awesome. 2000. Wow. Good year, 2000. I think the Matrix had came out or had just come out not long ago. And I was not quite a proper grown-up yet, so I didn't have all these responsibilities, which meant a lot more time to do stuff. I might check that out sometime. I have a lot of things I might check out sometime, so who knows how long. How often do I stream? At the moment, 3 times a week, but I'm thinking of changing that to 2 because it's a bit much to fit, and I do need to make sure it's sustainable. Otherwise, I won't end up continuing to do it. But if it takes off somewhat, then I'll kind of increase it. I mean, the ideal would be if I actually got income, that if my income from streaming ever matches my day job, then I will consider just switching to full-time streaming, because it's like that means full-time game development, basically. Now my chat message thing works. Like, thanks, chat message thing. Yeah, definitely. I think objectively easier times, just as far as like being able to buy like petrol and food and other things like that, and also just I was younger. I didn't have grown-up responsibilities, and that makes a big difference, especially when you have ADHD, because you can probably comfortably handle maybe teenager level responsibilities, and then the whole time that you're a grown-up, you kind of just want a proper grown-up to handle a lot of stuff, because it's just, that's a lot of time to try and do grown-up things that sounds wrong. A lot of time to a high proportion of time to take on grown-up responsibilities, not be able to kind of follow the way that the special focus system that people with ADHD have, which actually can work really well in the right niche, but that niche is not like being reliable and like managing a whole bunch of responsibilities. That you kind of, we work best when someone else can handle that kind of just keeping stuff consistently going, keeping the lights on, while we, invent stuff and solve critical problems and that kind of thing. Stuff that just fits well with how we work. I think a lot of stress gets caused by trying to fit into the wrong shaped hole. And the standard, I've gone off on ADHD tangent. That's probably because it's I've had a bit on the mind lately. So in my day job, there are other people who I have learned have ADHD, which is kind of new for me because I wasn't diagnosed that long ago. And it's just sometimes I can see patterns that look exactly like what I think I would have looked like from the outside when I was struggling with things. And it's interesting, the insight. Because then it's like, well, back then, when I didn't know what was going on, what kind of support would have been good for me? And is that something that I can approximate providing? Oh man, 2000 was great. It's probably one of the candidates for, if I got to jump back in time one time into like, this is like a imaginary scenario. If you get one time travel, but you're basically transporting your current mind into your body in the past, and you get to choose anywhere. So you could choose, from anywhere from before you were born to when you were a kid, or 2 days ago, or whatever. And then when do you choose? And that's a tricky one, because like when I was 14, I broke my teeth in a mountain biking accident. And that was really annoying. So it would be really nice for that not to happen. But then if I went back to when I was 14, how much of how things have turned out now would I be able to repeat? So then I think there's always a risk the further back you go that you'll kind of lose something. You know, you might just never happen to meet someone and then sort of miss them forever, or there's a lot of stuff I think that happens just by random contingencies. So then, do I go back that far? The further back you go, the more chance you might have to just be rich with stock market or whatever. It's like go back in time, buy some Google stock or Alphabet, which is the company. Go back, whatever it is, 5 years ago, buy GameStop stock, and then just suddenly be rich. Rich enough to not have to work again would be nice. To just be able to live at least comfortably, not have to work. And then I could just stream every day and make games and have some sort of hope of making like more than 1% of my game ideas. Anyway, speaking of that, if I don't write any code, then the game will never get made. So I'm just going to comment out that, and chat thing's working now. I've really got to get a more sophisticated thing. Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do differently potentially if you had like a time jump. Yeah, Bitcoin. Well, not even buy Bitcoin, right? Like get in really early and mine Bitcoin back when it didn't take that much. And I guess a similar one is if you could send a short message, like maybe you're limited to the size of a tweet back when tweets were the size of text messages and when they were still called tweets. What could you send yourself that would give you the most advantage? Would you just like say the name of the partner that you should be looking for so that you can not waste time with the wrong people? Or would that not work because then like you wouldn't learn whatever you needed to learn from the other relationships before you were ready for the one that you got into? But yeah, it's interesting. I think part of this comes from part of thinking that way for me, and how often I do that is possibly a reaction to ADHD or AUDHD, which is like the AU is like autistic. So I've got some autistic spectrum traits, and I don't think detrimental enough to sort of be very diagnosable, to be classified as a disorder. But I think part of that is just the ADHD kind of balances some of it out, so that it's not as noticeable. But I think that tends to lead to a higher tendency to need to like escape through fantasy, which is probably why I love like sci-fi, fantasy, reading, movies, games, working with code, which is sort of basically in an imaginary world. I don't understand this message. Auto mode. Oh, wait. No, still not sure. Auto mode. Still not processing. I'm going to put that down to me being tired. But yeah, it's like basically, can I just rewind life and redo things? That'd be nice. Just like a rewind when something didn't work out well. Which I guess is what we get with version control with code, right? You can, as long as you've made enough commits, you can always just go back. So then it means you're more free to try things without having to worry too much about breaking stuff, as long as you realize soon enough that you've broken something. Yeah, and I mean, even if you look at like, if I were to go back to when I was like a child, and then, you know, with knowledge from the future and be able to use that to get wealthy and do other things, like, would that then potentially have an influence on the world that would change a bunch of things? Interesting. I need to figure out where I administer those such messages. Hang on, let me pop this magnifier over here and figure out where that's happening, because it's got to either be Twitch or it's going to be Restream. And I wonder if I have another. I wonder what I have that I can use to control that. I need to spend a bit of time learning how some of these tools work. And I think I need to update OBS because I'm getting weird layout stuff. Bear with me one moment. Okay, I think I might need to grab myself a browser and pop it over here. And just get into somewhere. Actually, I should also see there might be something in the mobile live dashboard that would allow me to get in the stream. Here. Yes, I can see the some auto mod messages here. Oh wait, no, that's your message that you sent just here. Yeah, I'm going to guess maybe Restream is the place I need to look. So, yeah, it's not really extra work. It's just work that I put off for the moment, and I got to figure it out sooner or later. So Why not now when it's relevant? Maybe it'll save me from designing some code architecture when I shouldn't be. Let's see. Let's see here too. Because there's got to be, it'd be nice if I had somewhere in this UI here or similar, something that would let me deal with moderating messages. All right, let's see. I can see my stream on Restream. I can't see any of the chat messages, I think because I only just opened it. I'm going to have to start Googling stuff. All right. Okay, it looks like AutoMod is Twitch, so I might need to figure out how to just view moderated messages. It doesn't seem to be available on the mobile dashboard. Oh. So let's look in here. Whoa, someone gifted me a tier 1 sub? I need to figure out what that means. But I think it's good. I think I want my creative dashboard. I think I want to manage stream. All right. I got activity feed and so on. Come on. It's trying to do too much. There we go. The whole browser window went white. Like white overlay, like this page is busy. Don't try and do stuff. Okay, let me get that. All right, so do I get to see any of moderated messages? Yeah, I'm cross-referencing what I see there. And hang on, are the auto-moderated messages showing up? Like, can you see them in the chat on the stream, or and not on your local one, or are they not on the stream at all? Probably already told me. That sounds good. I should make some special stickers sometime. Oh yeah, not displayed in my chat window, it said. So now I think I just need to find where to view auto-moderated messages. Maybe I've got something in the chat. Can see users. No, I need to specifically Google. Another thing about 2000, I don't think there was as much information to process. Just learning how to do, there are like so many things to learn how to do, such as this. Show messages caught by auto mode. All right. So this settings here. Show moderation actions. Show messages caught by auto mode. Okay, so it should be showing me messages caught by auto mode. So maybe I just need to have a quick look through and see what's missing from here. There's probably an icon, I just don't know what it looks like. Well, it definitely does not seem to be showing me. Wait, auto mod queue. What's this auto mod queue? Basically, I've found the place where it should be showing up, and it is not. So that's interesting. I'll need to look more into that later. But I guess for now, the message can just be, will have to be lost. If you try sending the same message again, it might get auto-modded again. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. because it might be that if I have that open, maybe I'll actually get it showing up. It still actually could be. Still actually could be Restream that's handled it because it is a mod in the channel, I believe. Oh, yes. I am a programmer as my day job, but not a game programmer. So basically, I wanted to do game development, but I also wanted to have enough money without having to struggle too much with it. So I thought I'll learn programming, then I can earn money and make games. And it sort of worked, but in hindsight, I probably would have been better off just getting into game development when I was younger and just deal with it. So I would still like to just transition to full-time game development. I just need to be able to get enough income from it reliably to deal with my responsibilities, such as feeding little people. Now, let me see. I am going to have a quick look at whether there's something in Restream that I can do. Yeah, anyway, I guess that needs a deep dive. Oh, wait. Aha. Okay. I can actually see it now. Okay. And that is because you need to spell who, W-H-O. Otherwise, it thinks you're talking about like farming equipment, and Twitch doesn't like that, apparently. I can allow that because I know that it's not what it sounds like it is. So there you go. The second one did get caught, and I do have the right thing open here to deal with that. So I guess I kind of should just have this. I need to customize this and have this open to be able to deal with moderated stuff. And I don't think I need to view my stream preview there. How do I? I'm going to worry later about customizing that. And just make sure the chat is the prominent part of that. All right, now I can move this back over here because I'm not going to accidentally show anyone my passwords or anything. Yeah, this was what got flagged, but man, that's going to be a problem if I make my space farming game. I've got an early prototype. The project is called Space Vegetable, but it's essentially farming on an asteroid to feed the hungry people in the solar system, sending sending food on rockets to places, ordering seeds on rockets, that kind of thing. But I'm sure that there will be various, gardening and farming equipment, trowels, spades, mattocks, hoes, and various other things. But yeah, that might cause a mod issue. But yes, there we go. That is I mean, it's probably going to be one of the standard tools. Maybe I should give it a different name so that people can talk about it in chat without getting moderated. But anyway, that's a long way down the line, I think, because I basically have one game right now, not this one, but one concept that I think I would like to tackle next. It's a bit of a broader scope, so I think I'll try and get this released in some sort of complete-ish form, and get the family tree game I was making released. Just needs a bit of content filling out and so on, and then it's sort of a high fantasy / medieval fantasy landlord kind of game. Some kind of mashup between RimWorld, Harvest Moon, and something else. Where you basically are in charge of the last bit of land that all the adventurers go through before they get into the dangerous place with all the monsters. And so you build the infrastructure and you have characters move in. So they're NPCs with their own agendas and their own professions and things. And yeah, they pay you rent and they sell stuff to adventurers, services, goods, and so on. And that's the setting in which a whole bunch of little stories can happen. So that one I'm pretty keen about, because it's I have a lot of concepts that would allow me to include, sort of story-wise. So it'd give me a good creative outlet there, and also I think be quite fun. Right, anyway, let me just to do the robot is still doing movement itself, take over that instead. I think that's what I've done here. So every time activate is called, this is getting the robot. I think that's fine for now. I'll leave that where it is. Okay, I think that's basically working. And yeah, that'll be something I add when there are different types of legs. And here, probably. Well, maybe not actually. Might just be a different offset. Well, maybe not. Anyway, I'll figure that out later. So legs working. Let me get back to somewhere. Space ranges there. Have I accidentally... Hang on, let me pop back over to here for a minute. And see where I've put my... there we go. This. So we've got that working, manually rotating using lab. And I've written a coroutine for that, and I fixed that. That was kind of like what I was going to do in this stream, but then I got a bit carried away with just taking another look at it for a second in the last stream. That's basically done. Just there, and I'll just pop up my version control and make a quick commit. And I've pretty much used up all of the time I was planning to. Making this a bit of a shorter stream than usual, so I can get more sleep, so I can get better. But let me see if I can fit a little bit of something in. I'm just making sure I get everything back in the correct position. So, oh, and I do need to just confirm. I think I need to remove something from the robot. I've got a bit more commented out code in robot to tidy up. So I'll put back over here for now. So here's my version control UI, and basically this is movement was used to decide whether to call this, which was basically having the movement be done by the robot itself rather than by the legs, and that should not be needed anymore. And the fact that I've got is movement returning false every time means this will actually never run. Which means that that is an empty if, which means that I should be able to just invert this. Do I have a refactor? Yes, I do. Everything was activated, then malfunction. And so when we start an action, if we haven't got any parts, we malfunction. Something was not activated, then we try to activate each of the parts. At the moment, that's how it works. Every part gets every action broadcast to it, and if any of them return the activated status, then we say something was activated, and then the robot has its own malfunction animation that it will play, which is the flashing red. And so that's just what happens if it wasn't able to activate anything, either because the part was broken or we don't have a part that supports that action, or so on. So now these are not called at all, so we can clean all that up, get that out of here, and that's the whole point of moving that out of here. The robot script is responsible for keeping track of what the routine is and what step of the routine we're at, but not how to actually do any action. That just completely, what exactly gets activated? Well, this is essentially these parts that are in the blueprint. Let me start that. So basically the robot has mount points that have parts on them. So for example, Boop here hasn't got its parts properly wired up. I just dropped them on in the hierarchy, and so they're not actually wired up properly. But let's take this robot here as an example. So these are the steps of its routine, and basically each of these steps will try to activate all the parts, and its parts are just these standard legs. So it'll send a turn right. Let me select a different one. There we go. It's getting sent a turn right, a walk forward, a turn left, and a walk forward, and those parts are going to these standard legs. If I were to go to this factory here and say, let's add a laser, it'll still, so one of those will spawn with a laser. And let's just give them budget legs, because those can't do some of those. Okay. So now this one, it's like it malfunctions when nothing gets activated. But let's just give it like an actual fire laser. That one didn't get the fire laser. It spawned too soon before the fire laser was there. So here we go. So basically it's trying to activate every part, and so there's no distinction. So if they've got two lasers, it'll fire both of them. But if I get rid of these things, and if I just actually make them not do any movement and just fire the laser over and over, then maybe they'll have a chance to defend themselves. Another one's going to spawn on top of this though, so that's probably not going to work so well, because they damage each other. They don't actually bounce off each other. Oops, I'm trying to change the routine when I can't. So yeah, what gets activated is every part will attempt to be activated, and if it's a laser, that means fire a laser beam. If it's legs, it means it's sending the action, so it'll be one of the move actions. It'll still get sent the laser action, it just will respond with incompatible. And that is not the right type. Now, I think that's too many times to fire the laser before moving out of the way. But we'll see. Oh yeah, that got exploded. I'll just reduce it by a couple and see what happens. Can we? Oh, they've randomly changed. So these factories randomize what they're making. So they're basically doing little guys with no parts on them. So they're just cheap, fast spawning kamikaze guys. And are these going to run into each other? Oh, they didn't. That's awesome. But now they've got double shielding guys. So I wonder if they'll be able to get through my barrage of lasers. Apparently not. So yeah, the whole. So I'm working with some programming concepts here. So if you're a coder, it might make sense. If not, it won't. But there's a set of principles called solid principles, which can help to keep code manageable. And each letter stands for something, and the S stands for the single responsibility principle. And that's essentially like any chunk of code, like this here, this file is a module. It should be responsible for one thing. And it's very easy when you're putting together a game to end up with what I had here, like a script where like I've got a robot and I've got parts that attach to it and all these other things, and you can just end up with code in your robot script that's handling like everything. And you end up with this massive file, really hard to manage, hard to find, the bit of code that does something. And so having a much more restricted set of responsibilities, so basically trying to keep it to just one thing, like just keeping track of this routine. It has a copy of its blueprint, but that's kind of just, I don't know if I'm using it for anything in here. I was kind of using it to see if the part was in the blueprint somewhere here, but I don't really need to do that. I can just send a message to all of the parts, and here doesn't need to keep track of whether a part is active. It just asks the parts, like, are you doing something? And they'll tell it whether it is. So yeah, it's like, this is a decent size. If it's getting, like, I guess 200 lines is a good limit. If a file is getting above 200 lines of code, it's probably doing too much. There's probably a way that you can break it down within reason. There's a judgment call as well. But yeah, so that's kind of like, people usually don't write perfect code the first time. We're not robots. These are robots, and they can't even write code at all. Ask ChatGPT to write some code, and it'll spit out a lot of nonsense. Like, it makes stuff that might run, but it doesn't really understand it properly. So yeah, usually you'll kind of go through cycles of, you'll like write code, you'll get stuff working, and then you'll clean stuff up. Then you separate out things that are doing different responsibilities. You'll like find things that where you've got the same thing, same code written twice, basically, or similar enough. So then you can sort of pull that into a single shared bit of code that can be called from both places. And there's a lot, and the rest of the solid principles are also important, but I won't go through all of those right now. But they're generally all about keeping the code maintainable, so that when you go in to work on it, you don't just have to spend a week figuring out how the code works. And when you change something, you're not then accidentally breaking something completely unrelated because you've kept it small and focused. Anyway, looks like that strategy is working up here. Just that thing. I've got a very small number of parts available and a small number of actions available at the moment. And that is kind of on purpose because I'm still in the prototyping phase. I'm getting all of the systems in place and working, and it doesn't make sense before, for example, while I've got the routine just being a linear track and it's meant to be more of a branching structure where you can sort of have it loop back and loop around a part of the routine, or have sensors to get more complex behavior happening. For example, not running into these walls, because you could have something that they won't step forward. If there's a wall in front, they'll turn, something like that. It doesn't make sense to go and start adding a whole bunch of different parts when I haven't even got the basic stuff working. So that's why it's so limited, even though it would be a more exciting and varied game with more parts available. That is the goal. And you're welcome. I like explaining stuff. I do it too much. That's the ADHD. Or, I don't know, hard to untangle autism and ADHD, because both can lead to info dumping, and I've got a decent amount of both. So I will happily talk and completely bore someone and forget to make eye contact and realize that they stopped listening 5 minutes ago. But yeah, it's like I find the prototyping phase a lot easier because the repetition can get a bit tedious. But it kind of really depends. Like if I'm making pixel art, that's fun, so I can kind of happily do that. But anyway, let me see. I don't have a current task on my list anymore. I also don't have any bugs on my list. That doesn't mean there aren't any bugs. It just means there are none that I know about. And that means actually really up next, I'm going to move this straight up into up next. Fleshing out the routine functionality. So this is pretty cool. Because it is going from just this linear thing to more of a tree structure, and I think I might do something here I haven't done for a while. Actually, I don't need to. Getting mouse lag. I'm actually going to get my virtual whiteboard, i.e. an image right here. And have I got a... Oh, let me go clear that list, because there are things in there that... hang on, I'll move the magnifier. Oh, shall I just... Can I minimize the magnifier? No, it doesn't like that. Move the magnifier over there. That way I can make sure when I'm opening this, I only need to get a big pile of money so that I can get a separate system to do streams from, so that I don't have to worry about opening stuff that I didn't mean to. Now, I see. Yeah, actually got that nested in a different project. Anyway, so here's something that, who knows what that was, from a previous stream that was actually about a different game. Looks like arrow position vectors. That's nice. So let me just make a new layer here, and we'll just call it command bots. We're talking about routine. Cool. Alrighty. So yeah, I don't think I'll code any of this tonight, because I do need to go and rest soon. Let's go with about that size, and got that. Let's get a nice green here to begin with. And where is it? Tool I can use a brush. Where is this on a hand tool? Okay, now we're on a brush. Yeah, so instead of that, just like a line of commands, instead it'll kind of have, this mouse input lag is not fun. Like, I think the magnifier actually does contributes to that somewhat. Contributes quite a lot. So why don't I turn that off for now? See if that helps. Oh yeah, that made a big difference. I think turning the magnifier on forces it to use like software cursors or something, which can actually help if you've got a weird thing that happens with Windows 11 with multi-monitors and cursors like stop changing, so you have like the exact same cursor for everything, but they're not lined up right. Like you have the standard pointer instead of a text edit cursor, but it's like pointing to the wrong place. Anyway, so we go in and we'll have like, we might have like a walk forward happen, and then it might go to, I don't know how to represent this, I haven't kind of thought about it, but it might go to a sensor, which could be like a whatever. Let's say it's an enemy sensor. Let's get that red. So, you know, if it senses an enemy, that's a picture of an enemy. There we go. Beautiful enemy there. So, yeah, then you've got a couple of, can go like yes enemy or no enemy, and get you two different things. So then here it might have like a fires a laser, pew 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 pew. That's a picture of lasers. Just cut a little line there. There we go. There's laser beams. Cool. I'll make sure I hang around for about at least 5 minutes, but then I'll probably head off soon after that. Oh, cool. You want to start game dev? I haven't got the magnifier on, so let me read this message. I think it's a good thing that you're explaining it so much. I want to start game dev too, and like to learn from others' experience. And it's better for streaming when you talk. It's better than absolute silence. I think so, especially when stuff might be a bit small to see in detail. That's my hope anyway. And it also kind of, just talking while I'm streaming, it does help a bit with just staying on task with what I'm doing. Well, not necessarily if I get sidetracked answering a question, but let's put that there. Yeah, so if I'm just talking about what I'm doing, it kind of helps solidify, clarify thoughts in my head. It's a bit like rubber ducking. Now this could be two completely separate paths actually, so let me continue with that. Let's say it walks forward and maybe just blocks with a shield. There, just for arbitrary something's sake. And this one, maybe it fires the laser twice or like 3 times before it does something else. I'll grab a similar laser color, not exact, doesn't matter. So yeah, got those things happen, and then maybe I might make something else for like sort of control thingies. But this would be like a, I might make that a different shape actually. I'm going to do this as like a triangle like that, and call it like 1. And I'm going to do, just like grab that and move it. I think, is it like that? Yep. Move that to there. And then let's just put one like the other way to kind of make it related. So that's sort of like a marker. And so this is like go to 1. So then we can go there, and these could basically just join up to there. So yeah, we could have a simple routine, something like this. Well, I say simple, less simple, because it's got a branch point in it. So we basically take a step forward to start with, arbitrarily, it doesn't have to be that. And then we go, okay, that's position 1. Yeah, that works. I was just thinking maybe like having that as like just a colored dot, and the different colors would be good. And then it's just goes to whatever. Anyway, and then it goes, okay, we're going to sense for enemies, like just check the state of this sensor. And if it's active, the enemy sensor, then we'll do 3 laser blasts in a row, and then we'll loop around. If it's not active, then we'll take a step forward and block with the shield. And then we'll check for enemies again. So that kind of routine. And you could end up with something more complicated if you had multiple sensors. So let's just say that's like enemy sensor. And it'll sense an enemy somewhere in front of you. And then, maybe we've got like, let's just put a thing here that's like a proximity sensor. Then we'll go red again. And we'll put like a wall there so it'll detect like something straight ahead. I could use the text tool, but then I don't get to show you my beautiful handwriting. It does work a lot better with a pen though. There we go. So we might have a proximity sensor, and it might be that an enemy or a friendly or a wall or a factory all give you a proximity signal. So how would we use that? See, that would probably go with the shield. So basically then if you've got your proximity signal, then like put your shield up. I'm going to cheat by copying this. Oops. Can I duplicate that? No, that does something else. Okay, so yeah, let's say if you get a proximity signal, then shield. And that's probably like before you take a step. That means something's stepped close to you. And that might be, that might go up there actually. So this might be something that you want to do kind of here. And so instead of doing that stuff, you're pretty much just, actually, even instead of that, what's the shortcut for this? Yeah, okay. All right, let's put that there for a second. And shortcut for this guy, yes, okay. All right, so if you sense an enemy, then just check if it's right in front of you, about to hit you, then shield. Otherwise, this is not designing like what my code is going to do. This is just something that could be expressed by as a routine in the routine editor when I have updated it. So this is kind of helping me to think through how am I going to, what will I need to represent, and then I can think about how to do that. So yeah, so basically if there's an enemy in the enemy sensor, then if there's something immediately in front of me, put up the shield. Yes, there we want M. Oh, that was rotating. Oh no, it was moving that's moving something. Okay, there we go. Here we go. This is starting to be like a reasonably sensible routine. So yeah, enemy is there. If it's right in front of us, shield. If it's not right in front of us, fire the laser. And let's add a couple more of these. Oh, one more of these in. Let's do a double laser blast, just for fun. And I'll get that brush back. It is B for the brush. And get that arrow working properly. And then, yeah, all of these could basically just loop back. They could all connect onto one, which basically this is equivalent of a goto, which is something you don't find very much in programming these days, because you can generally represent anything that you can do with a goto with other constructs, like if-else statements, while loops, for loops, and these days even generally higher order stuff. But yeah, this is basically a way to just jump to a different bit of the routine, and it's probably fine in these routines because this is not like, this is very visual, and with goto you can make pretty much most of the other logical operators, so it's probably a good one to include, rather than, like, this is basically making a loop, so it'll go through here and loop back around. And like these are equivalent of an if statement, so sort of branching to there and branching to there. There could even be, interestingly, there could even be something with multiple, like more than two outputs. I could decide to limit it to two, or I could allow more than two. So what might that look like? I do actually have the ability to draw shapes here, right? Like, do I, yeah, here's where I can select. So let's say I had a sensor, proximity sensor. What do I hold to make this symmetrical? Hold shift, there we go. Yeah, let's say I had that, and it could be, proximity is one of the simplest things. But maybe it's like a robot sensor that senses types of robots. So then we could have three options. We could have friendly, an enemy, or no robot at all. The arrows are much slower to draw using these lines. I could probably find a tool for a line with an arrow on the end, but at some point you got to just keep the creativity to draw lines as messy as you like. That'll do. Let's get some rectangles here. I will use the text tool here just because it's going to be much quicker. But first, probably just draw a little thing for like, what type of robot are we dealing with here? We got a friendly/enemy sensor. Like that. And we'll go like here. Like friend, enemy, enmity, or no one, none, no robot sensed. There we go. So that's an example of something that would make sense to have 3 different options. And just grab a rectangle, and yeah, we could have different things that happen. Like, I'm going to go back to messy brush graphics here. So yeah, if there's like none in front of you, maybe you want to walk forward. If there's an enemy, then fire the laser. Let's just choose one of these colors. There we go. And pew pew laser. And then if it's a friend, then maybe we just like put up the shield, just to wait there with the shield or whatever. I haven't got a wait action, but there's no reason I couldn't have one. Couldn't add one. So there's an example of a multiple, like more than 2 output sensor. Interesting. I wonder if it'd be good to represent that with kind of like out the bottom for like negative signal, no signal, and then like out the side for 1 signal. But if there are multiple positive signals, then you could do them like that. That's none, and A and B, and this is just like yes, depending on the type of thing, and it could even be like thresholds. So there could be something that's like a distance, like a proximity sensor that you set a custom distance on. So you might have like a thing coming out of there that you set like 5 plus on or something. And then like anything else. That's sort of a weird one, because this would then be something that's like it's going to output a number effectively. So do you then do it like, would that make sense to have something that's just like, how many squares ahead is something? It's like a proximity that's got a certain distance ahead, and then maybe that's basically outputting a number, and then you've got to put that into a thing that uses a number. So might be like, maybe that's half of the circle. And you've got like a number thing that's maybe outputting 5, and then you've got a thing that can join on to a number thing, and maybe that's like a greater than equal thing, and so then you put 5 in here, and if the signal is 5 or greater, it'll go that way, otherwise it'll go down to less than. And so there could be different kinds of things like that. Well, I think I need to finish up, even though I think having some tea and just talking and relaxing a bit, I feel a bit better, but I will have to wake up in the morning because it will be a big day. So, gotta get to bed on time, unfortunately. I found it's a lot more effective for me to just set an alarm and wake up early if I want to kind of change my sleep schedule. So I'm just bad at getting to bed on time unless I'm really tired. Well, then if I get overtired, then forget about going to bed ever. Just stay awake until I crash or until I think someone's going to notice that I'm up too late and I don't want them to find out. And I think that's where I'm approaching that. I'm getting a bit close to the, if I don't go to bed soon, I might not go to bed for hours and then I'll be wrecked tomorrow. So, all right, let's not do that. So basically, I'm actually going to get into, let me just pop over to here for a moment. And what I have been doing here is part of this, which is basically, just make that a to-do and basically design sensors and control flow. Control flow what? Operators. They're not statements because it's not like actual code. Control flow structures. Because that's what I've been working on here. Just mirror that up to here. Yeah, see stream sketches. So yeah, I think I could probably flesh out this sensors and branching a bit more. So enemy sensor, just like enemy anywhere within probably laser range. Support branching and routine, that's going to be complicated. So I need to basically add, I think, the add marker and go to marker. I need to add simple sensor, binary sensor. It's just the yes, no. At 3 plus options sensor and like numeric sensor and what would I call this thing? The thing that you plug into the number sensor and then it does some kind of control depending on the number. I guess I'll collect greater than equal thingy. I'll call it thingy for now. Is that basically all I need? I think so. And I think I need to add some kind of as a graph. Yeah. There we go, 2D graph instead of linear. And I need to decide, actually, I should scroll this down, shouldn't I? Because we are, there we are, got a decision to make. Whether to auto layout or just let the player figure it out. Yeah. Basically, auto layout's a bit of extra work. But it might be good. I think I'll probably don't handle that yet. The advantage of having it automatically laid out as well is I wouldn't need to store the positions of anything. Whereas if the player can move everything around, I probably need to just store all those positions. On the other hand, it's a lot simpler because it means I don't have to make every possible scenario of a routine be able to work visually. Basically, if I write auto layout code, then I need to handle bugs in auto layout code. So, bit of a conundrum there. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up the stream. Otherwise, I'll end up just finishing at the regular time, which I'm already getting really, really close to. So, thank you for watching. Thanks, Bunter Party Bus, for all of the chats. And yeah, if you have any questions, just jump on stream and ask, because game dev, programming, it's got a lot of layers to it. And so, yeah, always good to be able to ask. Right, so I've been David from Fatal Pixel, and I'm going to go get some sleep and try and get better. Thanks for watching. See you next time.